The Seiko SRP series of divers is certainly the biggest splash from Japan in the last year when it comes to dive watches. Now, the Turtle reissue, as it's called, is a extremely hyped watch at this point. There have been a number of outstanding reviews here on YouTube, and so I was hesitant to even do a review. But the truth is, the hype is real with this one, and so in this short review, I'm going to be focusing just about how good it is and what makes it such an excellent watch at its extremely affordable sub $300 price range. Though the history of this watch is pretty well known, I'll cover it quick for people who don't know about it. This is a modern remake of the 6306 and 6309 Seiko cushion case diver from the 70s. And this is also part of the Prospex line, which is a line known for being well-made, robust, ISO certified recreational divers. So these are very sturdy, impressive divers for practically most everyone's diving experiences. It has a lot of features in Seiko's entry-level divers, such as this double-leveled studded bezel. This is a very characteristic thing of Seiko divers. It also happens to have an unsigned crown and super awesome pierced lugs. So obviously I like the style of this watch. Not only do I like the cushion case and just the general retro vibe with the layout of the dial and the bezel and etc. Obviously the pierced lugs are also retro, although very practical. But one thing I also really like is, look at this. Second position, hacking. This watch is awesome for the movement upgrade. 4R36 movement, very proven movement, very reliable, and also practical. You're going to be able to hand wind this watch, which means that you can have it in a rotation. This is easily the most frustrating thing about the SKX series of divers for me, is you always end up having to wear this watch around for a little while before it's running. This is a watch that you can get tuned up and keep it running even if you're not wearing it regularly. I love that. Another significant surprise is how positive and precise the ratcheting action is on the unidirectional bezel. Definitely an improvement over this watch. Now, a comparison between the Turtle and the SKX series of watches is something that's already been done, but here's my take on it. First of all, there is a lack of three-dimensionality on the SNK series of divers that is definitely present as a result of the gilt printing and the kind of three-dimensional application of lume on the Seiko Turtle. And so what ends up happening is you end up looking at the dials differently. There's something one-dimensional about the SNK series and something three-dimensional about the SRP series. Secondly, and this is something that I don't know if I've heard other people say, but the side of the case on the SKX divers is a fairly tall side. It's just a very gradually rounded case. And so it actually, in my opinion, wears a little top heavy. It's a fairly thick looking watch on the wrist. Now, of course, the Turtle is a larger watch at 44.3 millimeters, but it actually feels a little bit more balanced and a little bit more tightly hugging on the wrists. Now, this isn't a watch that is as finished as nicely as, for example, the Seiko Alpinist or SARB series of Seikos. It does have, I would say, actually comparatively well done dial. One thing that is a fault on this Turtle is this chapter ring insert is a little bit off, which is a common issue. But the overall quality of finishing, even though not as complex as some of the SARB watches that I've handled, is very solid. You've got nice crisp brushing and a nice line of polishing on the side, very similar to the Alpinist here. Now, if you've seen my Alpinist review, you know there's a kind of a chiseled style to the Alpinist case. There's lots of micro bevels, and it feels like there's a lot of attention given to the fit and finish of the case. The Turtle's finishing is done as well as the Alpinist, even though it lacks complexity in design. The other thing I would want to mention is, and this is again kind of surprising given the size difference, is that on a strap, a watch like the Alpinist, which is a fairly sturdy watch, it actually wears, you know, as far as fatigue on the wrist goes, pretty similar to some of these Seiko divers. So size doesn't always matter for the comfort experience of the watch on the wrist. And I find that both of these watches are comfortable for me, even though they're going to wear a lot differently on the wrists. So here's a shot of the turtle and the SKX009 on the wrist, and you can see how one wears differently than the other and how one appears to be a little bit larger than the other. Obviously the turtle is a little bit bigger. Notice again how the side is perhaps a little bit more pronounced on this first Seiko diver. The story is that really you can enjoy both of these, and they look great side by side in a collection. Maybe not so much on a wrist, but in a collection. These are two watches that I'm happy to both have and enjoy, and they're both really nice watches. But I think in the end of the day, I would just choose the turtle over the SNK 809 anytime. Oh, yep, and yes, that lume on the SRP775, it's a screamer. Okay guys, make sure you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Let me know what watches you'd like to see in for review sometime soon. And just in general, if you like the Seiko trio that I've just recently gone through in the last few weeks. And I wanted to let you know one last thing. I've got a move in the works, actually. I'm going to be moving up to the Twin Cities from Iowa in the next couple months. And so the flow of videos is probably going to change a little bit. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that things are going to be changing. I really appreciate your continued support as I am making that transition.